This episode of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live is brought to you in part by Viewfinder's Identity Search and Design. Your choice for web design, graphic design, and all multimedia development needs. Visit VFISAD.com and let us bring your vision to reality.
The following podcast is scheduled for one show. Introducing your host, Daxavier Josiah. As you are now listening to A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live.
It's time. Talk time. Let's go. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time live. Started in the 80s with Matt Cross. Dudes in the hood might have called that soft, but I carried that cross like Jesus did. Fast forward, I teach the kids to learn how to let go, live life, and show love to all things that don't matter where y'all from. And luckily, there's a show called Talk Time. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Dax kicks the facts on all the geek news, special guests and unbiased reviews. Suburban kids, the hipster street dudes, all can learn something new. Me too. I heard words when no faith is empty. I stayed the course, though my haters tempt me. Beat the podcast, that'll make them envy. It ain't too trendy, it's A.C.M.G. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time. Anime, comics, movies, and games. That come on and let's get it. Talk time live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the journal of my life that covers all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live, the Prime Show. I am your host, Xavier Josiah. I am back. I told you guys I was going to be gone for a bit. There was going to be a select start this week. My 16th wedding anniversary came about, and I had a great time with my wife. And, you know, 16 years, man, it's like, you really think about it, 16. First of all, real talk, I didn't even realize that I was going to be alive this long. I had a very interesting road to get to this point. And, you know, dating back to when I was in high school and all this stuff and everything I went through from there, I never thought I would be alive to not only, you know, make it up to this point, but to be married, to be able to do this show, to, you know, to do everything that I was able to do. I am very fortunate to be able to have a person like my wife in my life. And then also the very few people that I have known to actually call friend, to give the title of friend, and that I can rely on and really got my back and everything. And it's just an awesome road. And to that, I say thank you all. I say I love you to my wife, but I also say thank you all to the people who really had my back, you know, leading to this point. It's been a great weekend. We're going to talk about all of what has happened this week and some what's going to be happening next week as well. Also, we're going to talk about where I went when I was gone. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, if you've never seen this place before, because it is a grand opening, you may be interested in what I got to talk about and what I got to show on TalkTimeLive.com. So stay tuned for that. But in our talk topic of the week, we will be talking about the Suicide Squad. James Gunn's vision of the Suicide Squad. The way they were trying to make it, the way that it was meant to be. So we're going to cover all of that. But before that, we got some news to talk about and we got my views to talk about. So let's not waste any time, folks. Let's find out what's new in the world of A.C.M.G.
And now it's time to find out what's new in the world of A.C.M.G.
All right, to start off this week, we got a lot of news that is pertaining to what's happening next week. For instance, Marvel Studios' What If is premiering on Wednesday the 11th, and I cannot wait. You don't understand how much I am so excited because like I said before in previous episodes, this is going to be without a doubt the greatest and Marvel animated feature ever. I've watched every single Marvel animated series or movie. The problem with them is that their art styles are never the same. The character designs are not that good. And I'm always comparing them to what Warner Brothers and DC does. Warner Brothers and DC always does a phenomenal job with their stuff. Marvel finally may have outdone them with this. And what we're going to see is some outstanding, if that is even a word, outstanding, beautiful CGI with our favorite characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but reprised by the people they were role with. For instance, we got information on the first 3 episodes in what orders that we're going to be seeing them. The first episode, Captain Carter, premieres this Wednesday. This is going to involve, Peggy Carter getting the super serum powers, because the what if to this is what if she got it and not Steve Rogers. Now, again, for those of you who are new to the show, haven't heard the previous episodes, but I recommend going back and checking out these episodes. I'll explain. What If is a time-honored Marvel Comics series that plays a bit like Alfred Hitchcock and The Twilight Zone. And if you're not old enough to know those 2 shows, Google it. Basically, the Watcher is kind of playing Alfred Hitchcock here. But then when you get to the story really plays off of like The Twilight Zone. So you got the mix of those 2 together, but it always tells the tale of what if something happened in the original telling of the story that didn't exactly happen. For instance, give you a major example. What if Peter Parker never got his spider powers and Mary Jane got them? In this case, with the first episode coming up, what if Peggy Carter got the super serum, soldier serum powers and not Steve Rogers? So that's where this is going to be. It's going to twist things around majorly. Episode 2, T'Challa as Star-Lord, which is coming the next week after that. And that's going to tell the story of what if T'Challa ended up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and not Star-Lord. Very interesting. What's even more interesting is every one of these characters are said to be reprised by the original actors. That is including Chadwick Boseman, who did get a chance to voice this, and it is credited as Chadwick Boseman that is going to be doing this, doing the voice here. So if it comes up that that's not my fault, that's IDMB's fault, because they're the ones that crediting to it as well, and other sources too. And I heard his voice the first time around when I saw the trailer. So I was pretty sure, I'm like, is that really Chadwick Boseman's voice? Truth be told, Chadwick did a hell of a lot before his untimely passing. He did a lot. Like, he did 9 Blood. He did a whole, like, that Netflix series that he was nominated for an Oscar for. He did all that and Endgame while he was, in his condition. He is truly a king. But, aside from that, it's just an awesome thing that I'm so happy that they were able to get him to do this. Episode 3, Loki on Earth. This is going to be interesting. I don't know what exactly that entails, but I can only imagine or assume that is, what if Loki got banished to Earth and not Thor, and how that would go. So that would be interesting. And of course, that's going to be reprised by Tom Hiddleston as well, and so forth and so on. There's going to be a lot of different episodes coming up. I forgot. I think there may be like 6 or 10 episodes of What If. I just hope, for God's sakes, that they're at least a half hour long. I need them to be. If I swear to goodness, if they're hour long, I'm going to be very happy. I'm thinking they're going to be a half hour long. That's my belief. Animation is expensive. And to do an hour animation in this fashion, the way that they got it, I'll be very interested. I'll be happy as hell if they do an hour of this, but I'm assuming it's going to be a half hour. Either way, I am happy to see this. I'm looking forward to this. Man, if it's less than a half hour, I'm going to be very disappointed. Okay? Because at this point, just let them all out. But come on, you got to give us, this is the best chance of them getting a nod for their animation. And I'm not, I say Marvel Animation too. Like, I'm not scoring out Into the Spider-Verse because that was awesome. I would say that would be the second. But in terms of Marvel Studios and Disney, they never really can compete with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers and DC always got them on that nuke. Always. So I'm looking forward to this because it looks like they put a lot of money into that. But it's premiering next week. We're going to be reviewing that episode and probably every episode of the weeks going on, just like we did with the other Marvel shows as well. So I'm extremely excited. I hope you guys are too on that. You know what else I'm excited for too? The new season of Titans, which also premieres this Thursday. I told myself that I was going to binge watch every episode. And you know what? I may still do that today. I might start today after the show to really get down on that. But it's coming this Thursday because the show is really good. A lot of people didn't get a chance to see the first time around because it was on the DC Universe app. And this was DC and Warner Brothers trying to compete with Disney Plus. They could not compete with Disney Plus. So what happened was Jim Lee announced that they were going to migrate all of the library and content with the exception of the comic books from the DC Universe and put them strictly onto HBO Max as a package deal. So now we got virtually every single library from DC Universe app on there now. They just added Lois and Clark on there too, by the way, which was an awesome show. But I mean, was it called Lois and Clark or the Adventures of Superman or whatever with Dean Cain and Terry Hatchett? You know, this is before the recent Lois and the Lois and Superman show. It was Lois and Clark. So that's up now, which was a really great show at the time. But Lois and Superman is completely they upped the ante on that one. That show is awesome. So that is up on there now too, and it's compared to Lois and Superman, like Lois and Clark is like the moonlighting of the DC universe, man. It was a cool show. But that's up now. This new Titan season is said to be filled with intensity and a lot of heartbreaking moments. Like, people are going to die. And I heard the Joker's voice in the trailers before. Jason Todd is there. And, you know, Red Hood is also said to be on this as well. So, dude, I am so thrilled. The last season was awesome. They had the Deathstroke saga in there. And it was equally as great as the Oliver Queen, the Arrow second season with Slade in there, Slade Wilson in there as well, man. People just slept on it because they didn't want to pay for another app. They didn't want it. But now they got a chance. If you got HBO Max, all of those episodes are available there. And then on Thursday, they're going to premiere the new show, the new series. I don't know if I think it's going to be week by week, because that's what they've been doing with all of their episodes. And I'm down with that. I'm okay with that. Because if all else, I got 2 seasons to rewatch anyway. So I'm more than okay with that. But I am ready for that as well. So while I was on hiatus and while I was, getting ready for my anniversary and everything, I had a chance to finally two things. I did finish the Neo, The World Ends With You, which, by the way, that game overcompensated. And that's a positive thing. I gave my review before, and I doubled down on that. The ending to that game, the whole entire game, period. Like, if you were a fan of the first game was just, to me, it was groundbreaking. Like, the innovation that they did with that game, the music, the character development, the storytelling, deep. This one is this is no different. I felt like they added so much more to this. Square Enix really get their fan base, when it comes to this. And the creator of, the Final Fantasy series was the creator of this one as well. And oh my goodness, it was just amazing. But what also was amazing? The World Ends With You anime series. I finally got sat down and really watch all of that. It didn't miss a beat. What it did do, no pun intended, for those who know the game, what it did do is that it did kind of skim through things, and I at first I was a little bit taken back. I'm like, it's highlighting most of the more important scenes of the game or the features of the game. But then I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That game is about like a lot of hours of gameplay, and there's side missions and everything. So of course they're not going to focus on the side missions, storylines, and the fillers of that whole thing. But what they did was they focused on all of the main aspects of the plot and plot points of the game and put it all together. And it was about like, what, 15 episodes, I believe, or you know, something to that nature. But it worked out. Like if you never got a chance, if you own a Nintendo Switch, the original game is out, so you could get the original game, but you can also get the new game as well, which is out on the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation as well. The whole entire experience has just been phenomenal. It has just been awesome. The anime series, I love, you know, of course I had to watch it on subs too. And that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. It was really awesome. I grew up watching subs first before no, that's not true. Cause I grew up watching Speed Racer and Star Blazers and Battle of the Planet. So that's not really true. But I really got into when the term anime began was the subtitles, because we were tape trading. But I had no problem watching it on sub. I'm good. But I am looking forward to rewatching it again when they finally get like the dubs. Like I talk about this again. I don't know what's going on with Funimation and why these studios aren't getting a dub performances or whatever right now is kind of very telling, in my opinion. That there's not much dub in there. There's a lot more. I feel like it's just a lot more subs in there, and there's a change that they're not talking about, because what it was, and the reason why I even, you know, invested in Funimation was because they were the ones that had more anime anime dub series in there than Crunchyroll. I feel like the balance is starting to, the scales are starting to balance here, and they're not really marketing themselves as a fully dubbed deal, like where every anime has a dub to it. And even the ones that didn't eventually would get the dub in, you know, after the time. It's been a little bit slow paced lately, and I don't know if the economy had anything to do with it or whatever like that, or budget cuts or whatever. I don't know. Those stuff, we're never privy to that type of information, but sometimes actions speak louder in this case. So, I mean, we'll see. We will see, because there's a lot of anime that I want to see some of my favorite performers work on, and it just hasn't happened yet. So, I we'll find out soon enough. I'm just hoping on it. But if you haven't played the original game, you can always watch the anime, which is on Funimation. And then shortly after that, go get the game. It is absolutely I'm calling it, when the year end of this show comes in, guarantee Neo, The World Ends With You will be one of the best played games of 2001 for me. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that. On another note, I want to talk about TalkTimeLive.com because, whenever I talk about TalkTimeLive.com, it's about listening to the show on there. It's about watching some of the interviews that I do in video form. It's watching the panels that I did from Repop, but it's also the blog that I've done. And there will be 2 new entries coming soon. One of them is available now. One of them that consists of a new restaurant that I actually got to encounter here in Philadelphia. And I heard about this place before because it's in the Jersey area. And basically, it's hard for me to get to Jersey. It's really, I'm not, as much as I wanted to, I never wanted to travel to Jersey to see it. But lo and behold, this place ended up in Philadelphia. Ryaki Philly is what they call it. Ryaki Philly, but it's actually Ryaki Ramen. And I believe it's pronounced Robotoyaki, which is basically skewers, if you will. So this is a ramen shop, but this is not just an ordinary ramen shop, people. This ramen shop actually has anime inspired themes to it. And it's basically Ryaki is a ramen shop that is celebrating all things anime and manga in there, mostly anime at best. It has all these awesome looking wallpaper or murals all over, that's just plastered all over the place. You come in and you're getting greeted with a Naruto mural. And if you go into my, the Talk Time Live blog right now, you'll see me posing in front of it. You also see pictures that I've taken in there of the place. I mean, if you're a fan of Naruto, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, it is all up in there. And on top of that, there is also like a huge 4-panel, TV screen. It's like 4 50, 60 inch, HD smart TVs all combined in one to make one big screen. I love seeing that. And from that, you can watch everything anime. They got anime on the screen from opening to close. And we were just able to watch some of the recent episodes of Bleach that I need to catch up with. So we had that. And as far as the food, it's not, I'm happy to say that the ambiance is not just the reason to go to there. The food matches up to the ambiance as well. The ramen that we had, and I've been to ramen shops before, this was a title taker, in my opinion. So me and my wife went there. Kudos to my wife because she found a place. She wanted to take me there, and God bless her, she did. I really enjoyed this. It was awesome. Go out of your way to go into talktimelive.com, especially if you're in the Philadelphia area. If you're listening and you're in the Philly area, Jersey has like 3 stores of this, and that's a good thing. The first store is planted here in Cotman Ave. My hope is that they open up a shop rather here in University City, where there are 2 colleges that I live nearby, or they go further downtown, because I think that is a hot spot. I don't know if they're just doing a tester for this, but let me tell you, when we went in there, it didn't take long before people start filling up in the shop and digging with the shop. I want them to go further downtown because I think they will benefit more from this. Place is just awesome. Just everything. They got manga and all. It's just beautifully done, man. I love it. I love it. And what I even love more is that the fact that anime is still becoming a really great popular, genre in pop culture. It just is. So I love this. I had this argument or not an argument. I had this discussion with my former co-host on this show like ages ago. Unfortunately, those episodes are no longer available due to the circumstances of me transitioning from one provider to another. But we had this discussion on whether, anime is becoming more mainstream. And this was before we found out that anime was going to be in the Olympics, or right about the time there was going to be in the Olympics, and right before the time when, Goku was getting a float on the Macy's parade, and, their box office hits were going to be record breaking. This is before that. And I just saw it in the air that like or what was originally supposed to happen with the Olympics was it was supposed to be all anime themed, which of course we know that was unfortunate due to all of what's going on in this world today. So that's a whole thing. But this is just yet another sign that anime is here to stay. Anime is almost becoming as strong as hip hop in a sense. Like, people thought hip hop was going to be out and, it was going to be like disco and it's going to be out. No, hip hop is even stronger than ever. Okay. There's no signs of hip hop dying at all. It's the one good thing my culture has. It's like, we ain't trying to get that killed off. That's our battle cry. Okay. Anime is in that same realm. It's like, it's just getting better and better. And the genre in there, it's just awesome. Look, go on to talktimelive.com, go to the blog page. It's officially up there right now, and you'll see not only what the place looks like. There's plenty of pictures that I've taken of what the place looks like, but also the food that we got there. And there's one in particular item That is their signature item that you will get nowhere else. And it is awesome. I will not say anything else from there. Just go on to talktimelive.com and go onto the blog page and check out my write-up of Ryaki Philly. Man, this is not going to be the last time I'm going to that place. And I hope this is not the only place that they will be. So, ramen, anime, I'm all about it. So the other one that I'm going to be writing up to is another unbox write-up of a new statue that I got. Basically, it's a hybrid. It's a collaboration deal. I saw this on Amazon, and it was pretty freaking awesome. It was different varieties of them, but it's the Pikachu. It's a bunch of Pikachu statues that has him cosplaying as different anime characters. So the one that I particularly got, and I thought that it was the coolest, was the Kakashi one. I thought I liked that one the best, so I decided to get that one, try it out, check it out, see how it is in terms of craftsmanship and the paint job and everything and whatnot. So I will be doing a write-up of that. I've taken a bunch of pictures of that as well. And you will find out for sure whether this is going to be worth a buy or not. Now, they did have a Naruto one, but I didn't particularly like the Naruto choices that they made. I mean, they were awesome, but I think the Kakashi, to me, from a design standpoint, was much better. I just liked it much better. And I was like, yeah, I got quite a few bit of Naruto stuff anyway. I think Molly will be okay if I will not get any more fandom for that. So I went with Kakashi on this one. And believe it or not, Kakashi is the only, I think maybe one of the only main character members I have not interviewed or done a panel with yet. Stay tuned. Who knows? But yeah, I got 9 of the characters in once. He somehow, isn't that so Kakashi? He somehow, got away with that. So, but yeah, stay tuned for that one. That will be up on the blog too. But we also got a whole, we got tons of different blog entries in there already that you could check out. I think we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. We got so far already got 7 different entries in there talking about different products that you can check out and buy. Some retro replay rundown, deals that I did so far. So, slowly but surely, more blog entries are coming. So go out of your way, check it out on talktimelive.com from there. So another thing I wanted to announce, keeping with the anime theme, is that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean is coming to Netflix sometime this year. And in fact, they gave a date, I believe, of December. If I'm correct, this is the saga that is going to involve his daughter, Jotaro's daughter, in here. So from what this is the one I wanted to really check out. I didn't like Golden Wing. I wasn't down with that one. To me, that was the worst of the bunch. I like the character, the Giovanni character, but the story it didn't grab me. And like Diamond is Unbreakable or the Stardust Crusaders, saga or whatnot, it just didn't grab me. Hopefully this one will, because it is his daughter. I would like to know who the hell is his wife or who he knocked up to get this daughter. And there's going to be some situations happening where she's going to jail for some reason. I don't know the big storyline, and I try not to jump in ways not to be spoiled by this, but I do know her from the PS4 video game of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where the storyline there is that all of the Jo stars from different timelines are coming together, and they got to help each other to get these parts to this being or whatever like that, and it's a whole thing. It's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I cannot describe to you in all one spot as to what the premise or narrative is for that show. It's just always weird and bizarre as the title proceeds. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this coming to December worldwide. So I don't know if this means this is going to be dub and sub. Normally, all of the JoJo series is dubbed and subbed. So, but and then this is Netflix, so they have been really on the ball with anime as well. I'm ready for it, because I despite Golden Wing, I am a big JoJo fan. And I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be, I really think I'm going to like this one. Because I heard so much for other people who said that they loved the series too. So I'm looking forward to it. I believe the last bit of news that I have is the fact that season 2 of our favorite Looney Tunes characters, known as the Warner Brothers and Sister, is coming back this season, or this year, I should say. November 5th, Animaniacs season 2 is coming. A teaser came about showing Wacko waiting impatiently for the download of to the season to come on his tablet. When it finally completed, and in between all this, he was just looking back and all of the previous episodes that they did on Hulu, asking when is season 2 coming out and all this stuff, and he's just sweating. His sweat glands is coming out. He's about to go crazy. When it finally completed, Yakko asked, what he's watching, and then Wacko pretty much showed the tablet announcing the new season and the date. So November 5th, season 2 is coming back. I'm very excited about this because season 1 was tremendous. I thought they did an awesome job with it on season 1. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Will they add new characters this year to it? I know Pinky and the Brain is a mainstay, is a staple to them as well. So they should be back. I want to see Chicken Boo. I want to see other characters come back as well. The Goodfeathers. The Goodfeathers are one of my favorite of the bunch, and I really was kind of the only thing sad part was that I didn't see like a lot of the characters that we normally would see in there. We did get to see Chicken Boo in the last one. The Goodfeathers, not so much. So I hope that the Goodfeathers make it back because I thought they were awesome. And the Joe Pesci bird who would always beat up on the dude because they're playing off of the Goodfellas. It was just fantastic. So we will see. But that will do it for what's new in the world of A.C.M.G, folks. We're going to take a break, come back, and I'm going to give my thoughts on everything that involves with the craziness of the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's vision of the DC film. We'll do that right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Xavier Josiah, the host of A.C.M.G Presents Talk Time Live, the podcast. You want to catch up with all of our podcast shows and hear from some of the hottest names in all of anime, comics, movies, and games, such as...
This is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto.
This is Stephanie Shea, the voice of Sailor Moon.
This is Ruben Langdon, voice of Ken Masters and Dante from Devil May Cry.
Hey there, this is Kyle Hebert, the voice of Ryu from Street Fighter V.
This is Chris Battle, character designer of Teen Titans Go.
Here's your chance to check out all of that and more on TalkTimeLive.com. TalkTimeLive.com provides all of our ACMG content with new and previous episodes, exclusive interviews, articles, and much more. Visit TalkTimeLive.com and let us help you learn to let go, live life, and love all things ACMG.
Talk Time Live.
This is Charlotte Chung.
And Fred Tatasciore.
And you're listening to
ACMG presents
Talk Time Live.
Do it.
And now it's time for our talk topic of the week. Ready? Fight!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our talk topic of the week, and it is my review of the Suicide Squad. This is James Gunn's vision of the movie, and man, let me first say that I'm probably one of the rare people that had really not too much negative things to say about the original movie, except they were trying to do what James Gunn would do, and they tried to make it the Guardians of the Galaxy. They blatantly tried to make it the Guardians of the Galaxy of the DC universe, and to me, that's where it failed. But there were some good points to it. I mean, of course, Margot Robbie was good. Will Smith was okay. Like, he wasn't the standout of the bunch. Like, Margot Robbie was more the standout because she really did, capture the essence of Harley Quinn on there. But Will Smith was okay. So they weren't able to get Will Smith for the second film, as we all know. And in its place, a lot of people believe that they may have gotten a better choice in Idris Alba. We were right. And take nothing away from my Philly legend, but he just brought so much more to the table in his game, in his movie here. Let's just go off to the deep end. this may be the best DC film they have done thus far. We finally got what we've been waiting to get out of a DC film, and that was fun, excitement, you know, comedy, violence. This was not only just this was their Guardians of the Galaxy truly because James Gunn was a part of it, but this is the Deadpool of DC, of the DC films. This had the same hilarious moments as Deadpool would have, and the same type of comedy with James Gunn's own vision to it. I mean, the cinematics was just awesome. The special effects was just fantastic. Just all around great. I love what they did. And I remember back in DC fandom when they announced that, you know, the large cast of people, and they said, stay tuned because not everybody's going to make it. We didn't know how many people was going to die. We didn't know who was going to make it here and when they were going to die within the film. We thought it was just going to be like one by one by one. No, this film, James Gunn literally just shot off at the very beginning. The first 12 minutes of the movie, so many people died. It was very reminiscent of the Deadpool 2 X-Force scene where he formed the X-Force and then all of a sudden they all die in the most horrific, stupid, dumbest ways. And this was no different. This was hilarious. Like, the movie was so well done. And it just, there was some significance to this movie in a lot of ways. You know, as we know, James Gunn was fired from Marvel Studios due to some circumstances of something that he said from ages ago, in which he replied, you know, that was then, this is now. I am not the same person I was before. And this was a big example of what happens. Like, you can't fault people for what they do. Everybody makes mistakes in the past. Everybody does stupid like stuff in the past. I myself am not an angel, but I had to learn from my mistakes. I had to, you know, amend for my mistakes, and I had to work hard to redeem myself for my mistakes. And I did. He did. You know, people have a right to have a second chance. I don't understand what happened with that, but what he did get, his second chance, was working with DC and showing what he could do. And if you think Disney and Marvel does not regret making that dumb decision, they do. Because this man gave Warner Brothers and DC the greatest gift ever of what a comic book movie should be. Okay, he brought some of that Marvel, and he brought those Marvel ingredients, brought it on to here, and made it work. And therefore, this was like one of the best movies they ever had. And take nothing away from Zack Snyder, because he came back and redeemed Justice League, you know, albeit long as hell. It was still way better than what it was when it first came out from Joss Whedon, which is surprisingly a former Marvel guy. And he just made it better. I mean, there were some other, you know, Aquaman was pretty cool. The first Wonder Woman was cool. Second one, not so much. But this one right here, man, this was just awesome in so many ways. So let's talk about these deaths. First 12 minutes. First of all, I love the fact that Michael Rooker playing as Savant, and this whole thing starts off with Johnny Cash. And when you start off the movie with Johnny Cash, you know it's going to be hell. it's going to like something really awful is going to happen. Like Johnny Cash, man, it's like you use Johnny Cash music under certain circumstances, and my goodness, this was no different. So you had them going on a mission. Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis, that is an amazing actor. Viola's Amanda Waller, I think, actually puts Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury to shame. She is so cutthroat. She is unbelievably cutthroat. And I tell you, she came in, did her thing. And my goodness, it was from there, it was just on. She hired Savant to be a part of this big mission, along with, you know, Mongol, the Thinker, TDK, which we find out later on during the mission is the detachable kid. We got Colonel Rick Flag, who's in the other side and everything. Javelin, President. Oh no, that's somebody else. And along the way, we got all these people. And Weasel. The Weasel apparently was the first one to die, supposedly. He drowned. Nobody knew that he was drowned. Take note, Amanda Waller's crew are all betting who's going to last in this mission. They do these things where they bet where all these criminals are going to last in these missions. Weasel was the first to go. At least that's what we thought. And supposedly drowned. Then we got stupid ass... what is this fool's name? What is it? Blackguard, who by Pete Davidson, who was the one who really screwed everything up. He apparently made a deal with the enemy, and he just all of a sudden shouts, "Idiot!" Shots. He does what everybody assumes Pete Davidson does, and that is like just shouts out, and say like, I brought them all here and everything. They shot this dude cold, like shot him so abruptly that his whole entire front face just moved away. Like, this is not a Disney film from the door. They just told you right there. People are just dying. You got Mongo, who is Mongrel's daughter in the comics, which, by the way, does acknowledge that Mongrel in Warworld does exist in this universe. I don't know how in the world she ended up on Earth. That was never explained, but it doesn't care. She was kind of like the Shatterstar of this movie. Just like I said, this is very reminiscent of Deadpool 2, because you had Shatterstar in that one, and he died, and he was the one that was trying to be all badass and everything. He ends up dying on a propeller. Mongrel kind of goes about it the same way on a helicopter, does the exact same thing, and dies at the hands of a helicopter. Also killing off Captain Boomerang, who was from the first movie. So unexpectedly, this dude dies in the most horrific way as well. And it is just borderline insane from there. Like, so many people died. Savant, played by Michael Rooker, pretty much was just like, I'm out. He did not want to have any of this because he kept saying everybody dying. The detachable kid, they finally figure out what TDK means, and he detaches his limbs like a actual toy, like a 80s toy, like a He-Man toy, because you could pop the arms out and everything, and they float in the air, and all he does with them is smack them in the head around and pounds them in the head. They shoot his hands up, and he can feel all the pain from it as well. So it was just a really bad mission. Then the cool part about it all is that, like, okay, what I loved about this scene is that when they killed off everybody except for Harley, who was out there as well, and Flag, Harley and Flag somehow gets away. But as all this is going on, this was just, Waller just used them as like a Trojan horse. They were pawns to the real mission, which involved King Shark, played by Sylvester Stallone, Idris Alba as Bloodsport, Ratcatcher, 2, who was on here as well, and who else was it? Oh God, who was the other one in that mist? John Cena as Peacemaker. I can't forget John Cena as Peacemaker. John Cena. He's the dude has been on a roll this year in terms of movies. He was great. He was absolutely great on Fast and Furious, and I love the significance of this movie because you got Idris Alba and you got John Cena, who both played villains in a Fast and Furious movie, and albeit Idris Alba was the sequel to Hobbs and Shaw, but they were still major villains in the series and all the stuff. So he already played, Toretto's brother on there, and then he's on here playing this, and then he set out to have his own show. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. So they had them come in and to the other side, and they managed to get the job done from there. It was amazing that she made Rick Flag like the pawn of that deal, and it looks like it wasn't really meant to be that way. So, and I'm watching it, by the way, on the screen, and they're at the part where Michael Rooker is trying to run away, but Waller ends up blowing him up because he decided to leave the mission. So you had to have seen that one of them die. What also I loved about this movie too, and I know I'm going everywhere with this one. What I loved about this movie too is that James Gunn did this in chapters and exactly the way that it was done in comic books. So every chapter you would see something with a title to it, in a most artistic way, the same way that you would see it in the comic book. So it was even more comic book like than it was before. And I thought that was a really clever way of doing it too. Like you've seen works of art that, spelled out the title of the actual scene that you're about to see. You saw a elevator light that had, something of a title in there as well. So it was just like, it was a transition from each one as well. Yeah, this movie just had it all for me. It was 2 hours and it didn't feel like 2 hours at all. But, so Harley Quinn stayed alive. Bloodsport stayed alive. Peacemaker stayed alive. King Shark, who was their Groot. Absolutely their Groot. Ratcatcher 2. And I got to get the name of her because I've seen her before. Let me go to IMDb, of course. Suicide Squad. I should have had this all up before. Here we go. And the name of the actress who played Ratcatcher 2. Where are you? They better have her up. I hate IMDb sometimes because they don't have how are you not going to have her up? They got Mongol up. She has only been up, and Nathan Filler was TDK, by the way. So that was awesome. Okay, can we see the rest of the cast here? I don't understand what, like, really? Bear with me, they got top cast. I'm sorry, but even though they were on the show, they were in the movie, they weren't in for long. I don't consider them top cast. Danella Mashir, if I'm pronouncing that right, played Ratcatcher 2, and she was a sweetheart. I loved her in here. And not only that, Bloodsport's fear of rats was one of the funniest things ever in this movie. I absolutely love that, and they just played on that all through the entire movie, especially the end of the movie when everything just went crazy and they managed to get through it all. And the rat who kept trying to befriend him just sat on his lap. The look on his face was priceless, man. Dude, I mean, the casting in this thing was so great. He brought along all the people from the Guardians of the Galaxy cast. He added on some more people. It was just great. And even more, if you look back at this movie, if you go watch it like maybe 2 or 3 times, you may actually catch some other celebrities and other stars of other great shows that makes quick cameo appearances in here. It's very sudden, but I'm pretty sure that I've seen some people here that I've seen before in other films as well. But yeah, I thought they did a great job. I like the fact that we get to see Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, play his Calendar Man here as well. It was short but sweet. But he also plays, he does the mocap for Weasel too. So he's just tremendous. I just too much to really say what I love about this movie. But I will say the biggest MVPs for me, by far, on top, is Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Shout out to the daughter of Bloodsport. They had the one scene where she is in jail and Amanda Waller sets her up majorly, and they have this conversation while he's in jail, and they just start cursing each other out, like really going harder on each other. And her delivery in there was just great. I mean, it's not just a kid cursing up a storm in front of her father. You could tell how professional this young actress is in doing so, and I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really great. It's just weird that this is the second Suicide Squad movie where they have a character that does exactly the same thing. They're black and they got a daughter But this one hates this one hates him or resents him, as opposed to Deathstroke's father, daughter, who really still cares about him. This is not the case with them. It almost feels like a rewrite in a sense, even though it's not. This is a complete sequel, but this feels like an absolute rewrite. But I think it's awesome. Again, I digress. Going back to the MVPs for me. Viola Davis is in my top, because for her to play Amanda Waller the way she did, and there have been a lot of Amanda Wallers in the past, a lot of great and not so great Amanda Waller characters in the past that has played that role. She really captured that more than anybody. I think aside from honestly, there have been 4 actresses who played Amanda Waller so far. The first was C.C.H. Ponder, who played the original, and I believe the standard and template of Amanda Waller on Justice League Unlimited. She voiced her, but she could also absolutely play the role in live action. They could have easily, if Viola Davis wasn't there, they could have easily gotten C.C.H. Ponder to play that role, and she would have done it with no problems. But I think she played as the template for this character. There was also Cynthia Adol Robinson, I believe, who played her as well on Arrow. I wasn't really fond of her because I felt like this was CW's way of like glamorizing the character, and I love the roughness and edginess of Amanda Waller. She wasn't a supermodel. She didn't look like a supermodel. She was a powerful woman, and that was what made her so beautiful. Angela Bassett really got the rough deal with this one because she played Amanda Waller in Green Lantern. She was totally miscast. Not only just miscast. Now, I don't think she was much as miscast as much as she was written wrong. Because on the Green Lantern movie, she was a scientist. That wasn't Amanda Waller. They totally went the wrong way. I don't know what Ryan Reynolds was doing when he did that. But then Viola Davis comes and it's like, okay, they're back on the right track. And she really brings you in. She took that baton from C.C.H. Ponder and went Usain Bolt on it. Okay. No, absolutely no joke, man. She was awesome in this movie. And I felt her presence majorly, especially the scene where Bloodsport finds out that she set up as his daughter, and he has a pin in her neck ready to like offer and threaten her, and the guns are blazing on him and aiming on him, and she tells everybody to stand down, and she's trying to talk Amanda Waller to like, and she just yells it out, stand down, and it was like, whoa. You felt it. She has no powers whatsoever. None. She doesn't need them. You know, she's every bit as badass as Batman. And if you watch Justice League Unlimited, you know how badass she is. You know how big of a deal she is, because when she steps up with Batman, she knows every bit is about Batman as much as Batman knows about her. Like she is nobody to mess with. Until this film, at least, because she went so damn far to the point that even her crew had to stop her, you know, and they basically are going to regret that, because that's what's going to lead into the next, the Peacemaker series. John Cena will be my second MVP of this movie. Like, this is a guy, and again, this is a guy who comes out of professional wrestling. Not everybody in professional wrestling can make a great actor, because not everybody in professional wrestling has the charisma. And all of the people who transition into movies were people who were top talents in the business, who were marketable, who had the charisma to go. I'm talking like, of course, Dwayne Johnson. I'm talking Stone Cold Steve Austin. Even though his Hollywood career didn't go that far up, he still has the presence that can really be convincing. He's done a few movies, not as to the caliber of John Cena or Dwayne Johnson or even Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista, we all know, who, also came from this as well. And James Gunn brought him in, said, I could do something with this dude. Dave Bautista's career has been nonstop since. And of all, among the three guys, he would be the least likely person I think that would make it this far. And in fact, it totally surprised us. His career skyrocketed when he became a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's just been fantastic. But John Cena, he's always been charismatic. He's always been confident. He's always been that dude. Even though I didn't like the way that they pushed him into becoming a real American hero in WWE, as opposed to the Thugonomics deal. He ran with it and he did what he did with it. And he's been awesome ever since. And I think, to me, as much I liked him as Toretto's brother on Fast and the Furious, but my goodness, Peacemaker is his character. Nobody's taking his character. And I can't wait to see this new series that they're going to be making with him. It's just fantastic. I love what they did with him. I love this camaraderie that the characters had all throughout the movie. It's just been great. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. It was great to see Rick Flag back along with Viola Davis, because it did really state that they're not rebooting this at all. This is a direct sequel to the original, because these two were the original from that, along with Harley Quinn as well. But spoiler alert for those who didn't see this. I cannot believe they killed him. I cannot believe that Peacemaker killed him at that. So I did read from one of my A.C.M.G guys that in the comics, he did actually somewhat die, but somehow came back. So I don't know if this is a lead-in for something else, but I'm sorry. He pierced him in the heart with a sharp piece of the wall or whatever like that in his stomach. So this dude, I don't know how the hell he's going to survive, but then again, I don't know how the hell Peacemaker survived after getting shot in the neck by Bloodsport. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting, but it was awesome. There was a lot of awesome scenes in here as well. I will give a nod to Sylvester Stallone. I thought that he did a really cool job here as well, playing a dopey version of Shark King, and I thought he did really well. He was a very lovable dude, even though he tried to eat every single body here. He played his role. He played his role really well. I loved that he was very believable. He's very lovable, but he was also very fierce as well in here. Who else do I want to say? Polka Dot Man. Let's talk about Polka Dot Man. Let me tell you, this dude, he has been in so many films. And I mean, I absolutely enjoy this guy. He was Scarecrow in the Christopher Nolan series. And here, oh, give me a sec. I just lose my spot. Yep, here we go. Let me go here. So he actually, I gotta get his name. I always forget this dude's name. Look it up, man. Oh, I hate not having these. Why is IMDb so crappy with this list? Geez, what is the name of the guy who played Polka Dot Man? I should know this. Maybe. David. Okay, here we go. I believe his is David Mashlin, because he just played on the Long Halloween as well. I believe he played Calendar Man on there. Yep, that'd be him. Yeah, it's David I will butcher his name to no end. David Mashin. I think that's what his name is. But he recently played on a Calendar Man on a Long Halloween animated movie from Batman as well. He was Scarecrow in The Dark Knight. Well, not just The Dark Knight. He was also in the original. He was in the original as well. Actually, he was in all three Christopher Nolan movies, to be honest. And his career, he's also played in The Flash as well, and like other things as well. But I think I love him more as Polka Dot Man. This idea that this man has been an experiment thanks to his mother and who was a scientist in Star Labs, and acquired these powers that is like a what do you call it, a interdimensional virus that he gets rashes and all this stuff every so often, and he has to dispense the energy from him every so often, but he's able to deploy these polka dots that will really destroy anybody or disintegrate them and upon touch. It's just crazy. The crazier part about it is him absolutely having some fixation mommy issues, because every time, the only way he can really kill somebody is if he can actually vision them as his mother. He has a really big hatred for his mom for what he did. I really gotta say, after seeing what happens to him and this big rash that gives him all these glowing bumps in his face, I can't blame him. But it's just weird to see that everything he does is his mother. Like we see visions of him as his mother, as Starro, the starfish, as his mother. He's in the club. The women that he's dancing with, all of them look like his mom. He looks at the Suicide Squad. They all his mom. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest things out of the blue. It's even sadder that he ended up dying at the hands of Starro in this, because like in almost some cases, he dies a mother's death in this case. So, like overall, man, if you could hear my excitement for this movie, then you know that I enjoyed this movie immensely. There was so much greatness to this movie. James Gunn, what he did here, he didn't just make a great movie. He sent a great message that if you decide to, let him go, he will be of value to somebody else. And he became a value for this moment in time for DC. And that's why we're now getting James Gunn back and he's currently filming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 right now, as he should have done a long time ago. Because the idea, people, is that we all make mistakes in life. We all make mistakes, and it's how you own up to those mistakes is what matters the most. So I say this to say, don't run away from what you've done. Own up to it, and it'll all come out at the end. I've done it. I had to work my ass off to do it. I had to work my ass off hard to correct the mistakes I've made, but it can be done. Don't be quick to cancel somebody out because they did something wrong. Cancel them out if they don't want to, redeem themselves for what they did wrong. If they don't want to admit that they're wrong, there's reasons. I believe that there are reasons to say, I will discontinue my relationship with somebody or a company or something. If they're refusing to not only admit what they did was wrong or address what they did is wrong, but also to not make amends from it or to work on people have a right to have a second chance. People, James Gunn, he learned his lesson. And from that, I think that's what DC and Marvel seen. But thank you, Marvel and Disney, because we got probably the best movie of the summer. And I'm saying, yes, box office wise, I heard this kind of went underwhelming over the weekend, but the irony of it is that this movie actually, I think, is better than Black Widow in so many ways. Like from start to finish, I love this movie. I think it's up to Shang-Chi now, or Shang-Chi now. It's up to that movie to be the best of the summer. Because right now, for the first time ever, DC may win the summer in terms of films. DC may actually possibly do this, in my opinion. I thought this movie was in every way better than Black Widow in terms of action, entertainment, fun, creativity. That Harley Quinn scene alone, when they did that "I Ain't Got Nobody" song, which I wish they would have made it the David Lee Roth version. I thought that would have been so much better. But I loved it scene, which reminded me of the scene that they did on Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy, by the way, with Rocket and and all of them doing, you know, the big shootout scene at the end, or in the middle of the movie. It was that version, but I thought that was done beautifully in here. Harley got a lot of great, you know, badass scenes in this movie too. Margot Robbie is awesome in here. So, you know, overall from start to finish, I love this movie. This may be the comic book movie of the summer. Everybody stood out in this piece. You know, John Cena as Peacemaker, Harley always stood out, but there were a lot of actors that were able to bounce off of each other and balance with each other. Just so much good to this. Nobody felt like they were in the background. Even the people who died early did not feel like they were in the background of all this. So, and by the way, shout out to that scene when they end up killing all the freedom fighters, because that was hilarious. Oh man, in the scene where Bloodsport and Peacemaker try to outdo each other, just the chemistry, man, it's just awesome. Which speaks volumes again for John Cena's performance as well. So if I'm going to give this a grade, you best damn believe this deserves probably the first DC movie I've ever done to give it an A+. And I got to look back as all the other DC movies that I've ever reviewed, but I'm pretty sure none of them got an A+. This is the one that gets an A+, without a doubt. Loved it from start to finish. So if you haven't seen it yet, and you have HBO or you got to go out in the theaters, go out of your way, find your way to go see this movie. This has got to be the best superhero movie of the summer, at least the one that it right now is at the top. Shang-Chi comes out in September 3rd. We'll see if it's going to be the one to take title. Will Marvel get their title back? Because right now I see DC is claiming this for this summer at least. So we'll see. Folks, that will do it for this edition of Talk Time Live. Thank you all very much for being a part of the show. I'm glad to be back this week on Select Start, which will return this week. I will be reviewing Samurai Warriors 5 and talk about that as well as any other gaming news that comes out this week as well. Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds' new movie, comes out this week, and I may actually see that and review that this week. So stay tuned for that, as well as any other news, including my thoughts on the first episode of What If as well. So stay tuned for that and much, much more. So thank you guys again. Again, check out this episode and all of our episodes on TalkTimeLive.com. I just talked about it briefly. Well, not briefly. I talked about it on the first segment. And, you know, the new blog, blog issues are on there. The blog posts are on there. All of our episodes are on here. If you want to look for specific episodes, we got a great search engine on there that will help you easily find everything from there. And go out of your way to check it out. TalkTimeLive.com. We also have this show on all of our favorite podcast platforms, such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, TuneIn, Audible, Pandora, Pocket Cast, and of course, all of my people in the Tumblr community. You can find this show on there as well. So thank you all again. I really, really appreciate this. And that'll do it for me. On behalf of myself, this is Dex Xavier Josiah saying, learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is A.C.M.G. presents Talk Time Live. I am out of here. Take care and have a great week.
Music for this episode is provided by Game Chops. Check out these great chiptune tracks and more at music.gamechops.com.